This is a Misfit Nation production.
You want to be a friend of the cartel?
Ladies and gentlemen, making their way to the studio, they are the most dangerous podcast in sports entertainment. Crishaun the Don and Wunda from Kayfabe Kartel.
You're staying. You belong to the cartel now.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am here, the Kayfabe Kartel, the most dangerous podcast in sports entertainment. Sorry, I was trying to fix something on the screen while I was trying to do the intro. This is why I don't multitask on live streams. I am here to give my thoughts, give my review, my recap, my takes, whatever you want to call it, on the episode of Raw. I believe it was July 29th, Monday Night Raw, the go-home Raw show of SummerSlam. WWE SummerSlam 2024. We are here. The what is it? The biggest event of the summer, the biggest party of the summer. Are they still going with that? Well, the go home show on Raw, I'll be honest, was a little. I hate to come on here and be negative, but I have some positives. Don't get me wrong, I have some positives, but I was kind of dragging through this episode, and that could have just been me and my own thing. Maybe I wasn't into it. I'm not saying that it's necessarily what do you call it? A reflection on the show itself. I could just be giving you my take and my biased opinion. But let's get right into it. The show started off with Seth Rollins giving his rules. This was promoted as Seth Rollins giving out his rules. By the way, I'm going to gloss over some of this stuff because it's worthy of glossing over. And also I'm going to get into some things that aren't Raw related. But this may be one of the things I gloss over. I didn't really think there was much to this. Honestly, this promo between Seth, Drew, and Punk, and usually I'm high on these three getting together and mixing it up in a promo battle. This promo was a mess. That's the best way I could put it. It was kind of pointless, kind of went nowhere. They were just talking over each other at point. Everybody's trying to get their shit in. And, Seth in the gayest referee shirt I've ever seen in my life. He was more or less kind of just throwing his weight around, and it was the Seth Rollins I don't like returning. He no longer looks like grown man Seth Rollins. But yeah, it was, the whole thing was promoted as here's the rules of the match. We thought maybe there'd be something to that. I was stupid enough to think that, hey, maybe there's going to be a stipulation that they throw in that makes things interesting. And no, not at all. Not at all. Typical Triple H writing, typical Triple H booking. We promoted this as a thing, and it just was, hey, the rule is there's only one rule. Everything I say goes. And it's like, all right, that was worth waiting a week for. There was a point where it was kind of cringe, kind of awkward, where Punk didn't, because they weren't really clicking in this promo, Punk, tried to cue people to chant his name. He did that thing, and he goes, that's why ever since I've been back, people have been chanting my name. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And maybe 50 people chanted CM Punk to the point where he's like looking around, like he looked like The Rock at the end of that not WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, where they tried to get Roman over. He's like looking around like, oh shit. But give Punk credit, in true Punk fashion, he turned them around, and like within a minute later, he cued them again, and they chanted his name. So that's where Punk, you love him or hate him, he's able to do that. He's able to turn an audience on a dime. You can't take that away from him. But yeah, horrible go home segment to an otherwise decent build. They've been building this Punk Drew thing for quite a while, and we're finally going to get it. But this was a really bad go home segment for something that was built and at least built with some time and took some effort into doing. But also I'm going to give some of my SummerSlam predictions in this. My prediction is that I think Drew is going to win. I think Seth is going to actually screw over CM Punk somehow. I don't know exactly how that's going to happen, but he's going to screw over CM Punk, and they're going to, usher them into their feud because they've been wanting to get to Punk versus Seth for a while. And they're like, listen, Punk is basically put together with rubber bands and super glue at this point. So let's try to get, a big money match somewhere out of this. And I guess they see it as being Seth versus Punk. So I think it's either that, or I was thinking the match goes to a draw and Seth somehow, fucks both of them, maybe goes for the pin on either of them and just decides, fuck it, I'm walking out. I don't know. I don't know how they get to it. Obviously there's going to be a build up to one of them putting hands on Seth. But yeah, it's either one of those two things I see happening. I think I'm leaning more towards Drew getting the win because he kind of needs the win. And I think he carried this whole feud by himself more or less. So I think Drew should get the win. Drew should get the win. He needs a big win as well. And Punk doesn't really need it. And getting screwed over by Seth is a good way to usher them into their feud. So that's where I think that's going. Let's see. Where do we go? I believe the Judgment Day was the next thing that popped up on our screen. I'm going to try to do this in order, but I'm just going to sort of talk about the Judgment Day, talk about everything that happened on the show. But I'll separate this actually between Judgment Day and Damian to a degree, because my prediction for the Rhea thing may involve Damian to some degree. So the Judgment Day thing, they basically somebody destroyed their clubhouse and they're trying to figure out who destroyed the clubhouse. They all, assume it's Liv. Now I'm not 100% sure that it was Liv. Maybe it is. Now she did cut some kind of like Psycho X promo, so I guess it makes sense. But the things that I noticed in the segments with the Judgment Day that I didn't really peep before, or they didn't show before. And this goes into my prediction. I'm actually going to make my prediction early on this. I think I get the feeling that the Judgment Day is actually going to turn on Rhea and Damian. Or it's going to kind of leave them, odd men out kind of thing. And they're actually going to stick with the tag team, Finn and JD, kind of sticking with Carlito and Dominic, and maybe adding Liv to that group. Because I do believe that Dominic may end up with Liv at the end of this, and I have the feeling that a lot of the fans want him to end up with Liv for some reason, because when he didn't say I love you back to her, the fans booed it. The fans actually booed it, and they actually had sympathy for Liv. But I kept getting the feeling that as I'm watching Raw, they were trying to portray that. And what I mean is that they kept putting this thing where Rhea doesn't like Carlito. And also Rhea was sort of annoying everybody and sort of nagging everybody to where they were all almost rolling their eyes every time she was talking. They're building this thing that she's almost under the assumption that they're going to tell Carlito that he's not in the Judgment Day at some point, but it seems like the Judgment Day have like sort of taken a liking to Carlito. But if you notice, she was kind of like pulling the members of the Judgment Day to the side and going, why is he still here? Pointing to Carlito. Like, basically insinuating, like, when are you going to tell him, like, he's not part of the Judgment Day? When are you going to tell him to leave? And she's even questioning, why is he even there in the first place? So they were making that very obvious during this episode of Raw. So and they were also making it obvious that the rest of the Judgment Day is kind of getting annoyed by Rhea's nagging and her bossing everybody around, and they kind of like are starting to realize, like, when she wasn't here, it's kind of nice. We all got along. We were playing PlayStation. We were kind of laughing at the whole Dom Liv thing. Now it's all serious and there's tension, and you're starting to get that feeling. And the reason why I also think the Judgment Day, especially Finn and JD, may have taken a liking also to Liv is because she helped win them the tag team titles. She got them the opportunity, and they were kind of like, hey, she's not that bad. So I'm starting to get that feeling that even if maybe not the entire Judgment Day, definitely JD and Finn may go, if not Dom with them, with Finn, and sort of kick out Rhea and Damian from the Judgment Day, because they're starting to feel like the odd men out right now. And they're having tension built between the rest of them. There's almost a divide in the Judgment Day right now between the rest of them and Rhea and Damian. And they both kind of are trying to be the leaders. And I could see them, once Rhea's heart is broken, Damian will be there. Not as, not a love interest, but as a friend, kind of be there for Rhea. And maybe they find some way to maybe mixed match Dom, Liv versus Rhea and Damian. I don't know. But that's where I see that going. I think they're definitely going to the split of the Judgment Day quite soon. And I feel like they've been also building Damian to being a solo star. That's why they have him cutting these quasi babyface promos against Gunther, and they're trying to get him sympathy for being a street nigga. But yeah, basically, I guess I could take that over to the Gunther thing. So Gunther cuts a promo, another pre-packaged sort of promo, where he's accusing Damian Priest of abusing the business to heal his childhood trauma. I thought it was good stuff by Gunther there. And then at the end of Raw, Gunther, I think he murdered Finn Balor. Like, I think it was a legit murder. I think we watched a strangulation of a wrestler in the middle of the ring. But yeah, basically chokes out Finn Balor to win the match. I thought it was a nice, powerful ending. It was also to, where Balor goes out like, I'm going to soften up Gunther for you. And everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it didn't work out. So Balor tried and he failed, and it made Gunther look very strong. And then Raw ended with a decent pull apart brawl there between Gunther and Damian. I think they, it was what it was. Like, it's a good old school way to end Raw. It's definitely the hey, we're out of time, folks. See you at SummerSlam. Old school stuff. Get you hyped up for the match. You see there, it's going to be sort of a, vicious kind of match. It got personal, and these guys are, going to battle for the championship. I think definitely my prediction is definitely Gunther winning it. Maybe too obvious, but I think Gunther should win that. I think he needs to win it. And I think it's, pretty cut and dry. Does that, does the whole Judgment Day thing bleed over into it? I don't know. I don't think so, but it could. They could like somehow distract Damian, Finn and JD come out, and it's not like so obvious. There's plausible deniability to it, kind of thing. I don't know. And then the real reveal of them turning could be in the Rhea match, but that may be too detailed of storytelling. Like I've said before, I try not to have too much expectations with Triple H booking PLEs. He tends to book those more for the indie smart marks who want to just watch straight wrestling. But there's not much storytelling that goes on in the matches at PLEs these days. So I could see Gunther and Damian just being a straight, cut and dry kind of match. Now, I did sort of notice that Gunther, because I was wondering what does Gunther do? Like even winning the championship, how does Gunther look as the champion, or how should he look and be presented? And I noticed that when Gunther comes out, because they haven't done anything with Imperium or with Ludwig Kaiser in a minute. They haven't even shown them on TV together in quite a while, probably a month at this point. And I did notice, though, that anytime Gunther does come out to the ring, they still have him repping Imperium. But there is no Imperium. It's just him and Kaiser. And it gives me the feeling that they may make him champion and then rebuild Imperium. Hopefully making Kaiser more of the mouthpiece for Gunther, because I'd much rather hear him on the mic than Gunther talking. Gunther's getting through this feud, though. I'll give it to him. He's definitely got me interested to a degree. A lot of people disagree with me on that. I do find Gunther interesting. He's one of those dudes that, I get why you would say he's boring, but it's something that interests me. But I think it's also Kaiser being involved interests me. But I could see that happening, and definitely maybe putting Dragunov with them or something. Maybe give Gunther a nice strong stable to back him up as the champion. I think that's probably the way to go with him. Reunite. I'm sure that the night after the Raw after SummerSlam, Kaiser will be in the middle of the ring to coronate Gunther like he did. I think he did that for the King of the Ring. I don't fully remember, but maybe Kaiser will be right in the middle of the ring waiting for Raw to start, and then introduces the new world champion, and then we have our new stable. Well, not new stable, but we have our beginning of the Imperium running Raw. We'll see if that's interesting. I don't know. I could see it being boring. Don't get me wrong. So if you disagree with me right now, I feel you. I'm not being a bitch even on the argument. I just understand. I see where you could see that. All right. Let's move on. What do we have next? By the way, I see two people. They're viewing. I know I'm in the middle of the day, weird time, but if you have anything to say in the chat, go ahead and drop some comments. Let me know what you're thinking, even if you hate what I'm saying. Let's see. Next, we had Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. The Creed brothers having a tag match with Otis and Tozawa. Maxine in in their corner. And it was, I think it was the first time we actually saw the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Six makes an appearance. First time we saw them actually get physical. Before we get there, let me just start with this, because basically they have this match, the whole thing goes down, and it kind of feeds into my theory that, again, let me reiterate, that the Wyatt Six is here to actually mend the relationship between Chad Gable and the Alpha Academy, and that the Creed brothers thing is just a red herring. It's not actually going to work out. And that it's going to force Chad Gable to get back with the Alpha Academy, or at least rebuild that relationship and sort of have closure to that relationship, or closure to that storyline even. But it's going to be the Wyatt Six is actually not here to do what you think. They're not here to cause chaos and ruin people's lives. Family is the main base of this whole feud and their whole reason for existing, the Wyatt Six. So I think this storyline, or what happened in this segment actually fed into that, because last week what I said was that Otis was interrupted, or Chad was interrupted from letting the Creed brothers do a chair beat down on Otis. And my question was, why did the Wyatt Six interrupt that? And the answer that I thought of was that they're trying to stop Chad Gable every time he does something that would almost like cross the line of being too unforgivable, or doing something that you wouldn't like. You fight your brothers, but you don't, you don't pull out a knife on one of your brothers and try to cut them. You get what I'm saying? Some brothers don't even punch each other in the face. They have a certain respect that they don't cross. You don't cross a line with your brothers, even if you fight them. And that's what I think the story that's being told is, that every time Chad tries to do that, the Wyatt Six intervenes and stops him from doing that. And that happened again on Raw, where Chad Gable was about to basically put hands on Maxine. He was about to act. It looked like he was getting ready to hit her, to strike her. And before he could do that, he was interrupted by the Wyatt Six. So again, Wyatt Six stopping Chad Gable from doing something stupid, doing something that he wouldn't be able to forgive himself for after doing it. You get what I'm saying? He may do it and then realize, why did I do that? So, I think that's the story that's being told. That's why I think the Wyatt Six even has like a vested interest in, they have to have a reason for intervening when they're intervening, because they could have done it at any point. But they always do it when Chad is going just a touch too far. So they basically make a 6-man where the Wyatt Six will debut on Raw, not SummerSlam, which I'm a little put off by that. I'm not sure why, but I guess, they don't feel like they need it on the card. I thought that was a shoo-in for it. They did something really stupid though. Again, I went after AEW for their stupid, shitty inside joke indie booking, where they wanna sacrifice kayfabe, and they want to sacrifice, the story that's being told, just to get a little inside joke off, just to get people to chuckle, just to get people to laugh a little bit. And they've been doing that a little bit with this Wyatt Six thing. They started doing that with Jey Uso, where Jey Uso was hamming it up a little too much, where he's almost doing Scooby-Doo and Shaggy level of like, oh, the Wyatt Six, I'm leaving, yeet, and then he walks. It's like, why are you doing that? It's like, it's not supposed to be fucking funny. You're ruining it just to make people laugh for a second. They did the same thing on Raw with Pierce and Chad, where Chad goes, he does the thing again, which the Chad part it's okay, where he goes up to them and goes, hey, listen, I figured out the identities of the Wyatt Six. The other three are Gacy, Rowan, and Dexter Loomis. And then this is where they did the little inside jokey bullshit, where Pierce goes, yeah, I know, they're under contract. You get it? Because they're under contract. Why say this? Why do this? Why tell us they're under contract? Why make it real in that sense? Obviously, we know they're fucking under contract, idiot. But why now do you break the kayfabe of like, now I got a picture of these fucking spooky demons from a different dimension, from the mind of Bray Wyatt. But they sat down and negotiated contract deals with Adam Pearce and getting onto Raw. They have lawyers, by the way. The Wyatt Six. Why not just say all that? Fuck it. We're gonna get the Wyatt Six's lawyer to come in and explain to Chad Gable that they're actually employees of the WWE. Do we have to do we have to go that far? Is this necessary? Jesus Christ. But it's funny. It's funny. It's all entertainment. It's all or it's comedy, not entertainment. It's supposed to be entertainment, but it's all comedy. Everything is comedy. I'm seeing, I don't know if I lost somebody. If somebody can in the chat, tell me if I'm on. I'll give my prediction and then I'll move. I was seeing something weird on the screen there telling me that I was losing connection maybe. But basically for the Wyatt six-man debut or whatever, I see basically the Wyatt Six maybe doing something where they scare off or make the Creed brothers run off in fear, leaving Chad Gable to fend for himself. And then, he gets beat down and, loses. And then that kind of, I think, will push. That's where I think it's going. I don't know if it's going there, but if it goes into the what I've been calling as far as the storyline, and if I've been pretty right on this. If I am right, that's where I think it's going. It's going to be Wyatt Six proves that the Creed brothers aren't loyal. They're not loyal to Chad Gable, and it makes him realize he needs his family. So yeah, that'll be on Raw though, not SummerSlam. By the way, did anybody else notice that something like kept falling off of Dexter Lumis every time he hit somebody with a move? I don't know what the fuck it was. Maybe his dreads, his extensions or something. He has like jewelry that he's wearing. I don't know. But something kept falling off of him. So I also was wondering this. Do you think it was maybe a mistake? Because I think it might be that they should have maybe done those video packages, because they did one later on Dexter Lumis, but maybe they should have done those first before actually unmasking them in the ring. I feel like maybe, I'm nitpicking here, but I don't know. Maybe they needed to show us that it was Dexter Lumis for some reason. Maybe they needed to explain that before showing us the video package. But yeah. I feel like it was like kind of weird, like they're a week behind on the video packages, and they should have had that already done before they unmasked in the ring. Especially if you're not having them do their match on SummerSlam. I always thought they were kind of rushing to get the match ready for SummerSlam, but apparently not. So, what does it matter? So that's where I think that's going. I think I got my point across on that one. Give me a second here. I'm actually going to check and make sure I'm still live. Yeah. I see my stupid face on the screen here. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. You know what? I think I'm going to skip my get the fuck out of here. I'm just going to skip that whole thing. It's not that important. It was just a nitpick. Let's see. Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. This build here. Now, I've been high on the build of Braun Breaker since he lost at Money in the Bank. No, was it Money in the Bank? I think it was Money in the Bank. Yeah. Since his loss, I thought they kind of recalculated and figured out like, okay, this wasn't exactly working how we wanted it to. And then when they recalculated, they had him basically cutting promos and then just being a killing machine. And that's what you need to do with Braun Breaker. And they kind of took a step back, I feel like, tonight. However, I think there's a reason for that. And it's just because they kind of can't help themselves. But I did notice something. Why does Sami Zayn, like, whenever whenever they're setting up for him to cut a promo and they're like, "Hey, I'm back here with Sami Zayn. He's getting ready for his match against so and so. I guess who did he fight tonight? I forgot. Was it Dom? I think it was Dom. But yeah, basically we're getting the whole time Sami Zayn is basically in the background, like fucking pacing, and he's like sitting there like he's like calculating shit in his head, and he's like so he's talking like he's in a rush. He has the temperament of Doc Brown. Like, we haven't got the time. We have to get to the ring, Marty. It's like why is he always in a rush and always it's like calm the fuck down. Jesus Christ. But where I think they fucked up in this is the end of the match where Braun Breaker runs in and tries to get one over on Sammy again, and Sammy basically catches him while he's going for a spear. Sammy catches him with a haluva kick, and Braun Breaker basically falls to the ground and fucking and it was all right because it was his own momentum that made it worse. So that's okay. I don't mind that. But the fact is that Braun, after that, ran in fear. He retreated out of fear of Sami Zayn. And then he tried to run in again and then failed again and then retreated again out of fear. And that's the thing where I think that wasn't a good look. And again, for somebody like Braun Breaker, who we're trying to book this guy as a monster, because let's be real, he is. That's a bad look. You don't have him run in fear, and you don't have him come and do it again and then run in fear again. It's stupid. It's stupid. But I think they did that because they want to have Sammy. There's this sort of element of suspension of disbelief. Hey, maybe Sammy has a chance. Look what he did right before SummerSlam. But usually when somebody gets over the night before the show before SummerSlam, that means they're probably going to lose at SummerSlam. And I believe I still stick by my prediction that it's a prediction and a hope that Braun Breaker actually squashes Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. I think it should be one of those bell rings. He does his back and forth thing and between the ropes and spears the shit out of Sami Zayn. 1, 2, 3. That's it. It's over. Have one of those fucking less than 30-second matches. I'm fine with it. I don't need a long, and they don't do this anymore, I guess, but I don't need a long 15-minute drawn out competitive match between these two. But yeah, that's where I think that's going. I'll be honest, I tapped out of the show when during the Dom and hold on, I have this. That's where I tapped out. When Dom and Sami Zayn were making their entrances, I just kind of skipped through the match, and then, it was one of those Raws that I was actually happy when I saw a women's match come on because I knew I could skip through a portion of the show. I knew it was like, oh yes, I could skip through like the next 25 minutes. That shaves off a lot of time. So that's how I felt about this, this Raw more or less. I guess I wouldn't be so hard on it if it wasn't a go-home show. I thought it should have been much better for a go-home. But yeah, that's where I kind of stand on it. I'm not going to give it a rating because I don't even know how to rate that. So yeah, I pretty much gave my opinions there. Okay, so I have 2 things I want to talk about, and then I'll get out of here. Let's see. I do have a promo of the week, and I want to talk about this Hurt Business racism accusation on Triple H. This hurt business, racism, big business, guys, big business. Which one should I do? I think I'll go with the racism. Why not? Stick with, because my promo of the week actually isn't WWE. All right. Shout outs to Pete Ortiz in the chat. Racism. I'm going to talk about racism. We uniting the races through truth instead of lies. Yes. Shout outs to Anna Gonzalez. We got a broad. Got a broad in the chat, huh? Hey, the Kayfabe Kartel talking about Monday Night Raw and kickoff to SummerSlam this Friday afternoon and SmackDown after kickoff. Are you asking me? Are you asking me or telling me? I may do a watch along with SummerSlam, but I also do I may do a collab watch along. I'm thinking of joining up with Sports Jedi Network, jumping in there with them. Maybe we'll get our own kayfabe watch along going on. You know what? Let me know in the comments if anybody's willing to come on and maybe watch along, talk about some wrestling. I'm down to do that because I could do it on StreamYard and just put the link in the chat. People could just jump on when they want. We'll see because that gets a little sketch sometimes. Can't really trust people. But shout outs to you guys. Shout outs to you. Let's see. Let's talk about this Hurt Business. Okay. So the Hurt Business, which was Bobby Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander, which was they were a stable during the pandemic COVID era. I think that's when they started. That's when they became a stable. But they made a pitch to good old Trips, and Mr. Levesque listened with bated breath for the next big black idea. And their idea was, let's bring back the Hurt Business, baby. And Triple H was like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not sure. I haven't looked into because I believe the accusations were more of a thing that was going on online. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if somebody made the accusations, like MVP or somebody like that. Somebody let me know in the chat if they could tell me. However, the accusations are out there that Triple H is racist because he won't bring back the Hurt Business. Now, let's be honest about the Hurt Business. I've seen a couple things. I wasn't really watching wrestling during the pandemic era, but Hurt Business. Not really a demand for them to come back. Not really that great. Didn't really move the needle as far as I'm concerned. Like, it wasn't something that brought me back. And I'm talking about my own anecdotal thing. But let's get into non-anecdotals, right? Bobby Lashley. Let's go through each member. Bobby Lashley. Great look. Sure. But honestly, hasn't gotten any better in 20 years in the ring or on the mic. To this day, he still talks like a first-year rookie. Not even like fresh out of NXT, like developmental first day in NXT. First promo. That's how Bobby Lashley talks. Never got better. Never got better in the ring. He does the same shit he's always done. Hasn't evolved. What's he evolved? That he wears pants now? His pants are shinier. He has a moniker, the Almighty. Bobby Lashley, boring. Always been boring. And despite being on TV for 20 years, hasn't gotten any better. One of those guys. Shelton Benjamin, great athlete. Yeah, maybe there's some nostalgia there when you see him come out. But again, let's be real. He's been a fucking personality void for what? Almost 30 years, 25 years, maybe 30 years might be pushing it. 25 years. Maybe that might even be pushing it. 20 years. Let's call it even 20 years. Shelton Benjamin hasn't gotten better on the mic, hasn't gotten better as a personality. Again, great athlete. He can do amazing shit in the ring. But what does it matter if you're boring? If you're boring behind the mic? This is wrestling. It's not the Olympics. Cedric Alexander, flippy do guy, another flippy do guy with no personality, more or less. That's more or less what you can say about him. MVP, great talker, but hasn't evolved really in 20 years. Like, we're talking about three guys that make up the majority of this group that are dudes that haven't evolved in 20 years. And to be honest, I don't see there being much of a demand for the Hurt. Who else wants them to come back? Maybe a couple stragglers, but I don't really see a big, we need the Hurt business back. They're gonna change things. They're gonna make things more entertaining. I don't really see it. So I could understand why Triple H wouldn't be so quick to bring them back. I don't think there's much to them. I don't think, maybe during the pandemic era they helped, sort of keep it entertaining, but that's not a gauge on whether or not they were, they were making money. Was the Hurt business making a lot of money? I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, to call Triple H a racist, I think is a bit of an overstatement, at least what we're seeing right now. Based on this, at least, because you look at the card. Literally last week, I called my last review. I had to call it Friday Night Blackdown because a third of the or 2/3 of the card were Black and Hispanic people. Like, there's more Black and Hispanic wrestlers right now on the main roster than there's ever been, ever. Sometimes you get surprised when you see a white guy walk out. So yeah, I just don't accept that just because WWE didn't accept their idea, it's racism. That's bullshit. I guaranteed a lot of bullshit gets approved in WWE, but WWE doesn't want to actually approve it. But they're afraid of the racism accusation, so they approve it. I think I could see it going more the other way. Of, well, all right, we got to approve it because of this reason right here. It's this affirmative action DEI ingrained mentality that bleeds over to everything. That bleeds over to wrestling. It bleeds over to entertainment in all aspects, sports, your everyday lives, and the corporations you guys probably work for. So, of course, it's going to happen in WWE. And of course, when a Black person doesn't win a championship, it's racism. It's just, be entertaining. Fucking entertain us. Now get out there and tap dance for us, huh? But yeah, if they were to ask for their release, I'd give it to them. They're a cancer in the locker room. That type of mentality is a cancer in the locker room, because greatness doesn't have a color. And if you're great, you're great. And people are going to like you, and people are going to demand for you if you're great. And here's an unpopular opinion. Wrestling was at its best when they actually did perpetrate racial stereotypes, and when they actually did play on people's race and their cultures. And that went for everybody. That went for all races, all cultures, all ethnicities. Like, for instance, I won't even go to the easy ones where it's the Black stereotypes. Take the greatest wrestler of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was literally a stereotype of a drunken, violent redneck. He called himself a redneck. How is that not a racial stereotype? It is. But, and that's where I say the whole thing of like representation and all that bullshit, like I don't need it. My favorite wrestler ever was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm nowhere near being a redneck. One of my favorite people of all time was Mike Tyson. Ever since I was a kid, I loved Mike Tyson. Don't know why. Just something about him. He's a friggin' black gangbanger from Brooklyn. A bum made good. I look nothing like Mike Tyson. So all that stuff is bullshit. I think it's like, though, the racial stereotypes perpetrated and the it made for good entertainment. I think that's what a lot of people are too sensitive to admit. Nation of Domination being a black power group. It's entertaining. Eddie Guerrero was a Mexican cholo. He's like a straight up stereotype. Samoans, they all played stereotypes. Samoan savages. Godwins, hillbillies, DOA, they were bikers that, they probably make meth on the weekend when they're not wrestling. Triple H, when he played the blue blood English aristocrat. Yokozuna, Japanese sumo wrestler played by a Samoan. Like, it's like people are so goddamn sensitive nowadays, though, that they don't even want to let that happen. It's like Al Pacino playing Scarface. He played a Cuban gangbanger, but he's Italian. He's full-blooded Italian. People get too sensitive about that these days. We wouldn't have had the great character that is Scarface, that is Tony Montana. So, yeah, I think there's people are too goddamn sensitive these days. And you see, that's why WWE doesn't actually write that type of stuff. And I think a part of it is that whole mentality of becoming successful doing that and then pulling up the ladder behind you. It's like all these guys of the past, Triple H himself, who did the goddamn did blackface. Again, I'm not offended. I actually thought it was funny. I still think it's funny. Did blackface and now pretends like we can't do that. We can't do that. Who's going to cancel him? Who's going to cancel him? Actually, canceling wrestling would probably give it more publicity and better publicity than it's ever had. They should play off of cancel culture. And they actually did that better during the PG era. I know that's probably an unpopular opinion. The PG era was more controversial than what we see right now. You had Jack Swagger fucking battling Alberto Del Rio, calling him an immigrant. It's like you don't have that realism anymore. You don't. And it's because we're too afraid. We're too sensitive as a nation because we're faggots and bitches. So yeah, that's why until we get that sensitivity out of this country, wrestling is always going to be this. It's always going to be this. You're never going to have, another Eddie Guerrero even. Because they'll have, like, for instance, Andrade may throw something in that's a little too stereotypical and people will get offended and then, they'll pull Andrade. Hey, don't do that anymore. Wrestling should be offensive. Should be a level to it that's offensive. And then that's what makes us, the guy that offended us, we want to see him get his ass whipped by the dude, by the hero, the dude that we like. That is wrestling. You don't watch wrestling because you want to see two guys have a fucking competitive, honorable, sportsman-like match. Ruins it. Speaking of which, you know what? That's gonna take us right to our promo of the week.
It's the promo of the week.
Burger after after burger after burger.
Choppy, indeed. All right, my promo of the week. Now, I know I said last week that I'm not covering AEW, and I'm still not. I'm covering MJF because MJF cut maybe, if not his greatest promo, and I'm only saying that because I'm biased. I'm going to admit my bias on this one. But he made it hard for me personally not to make this promo of the week and not to make me a MJF fan, maybe for the foreseeable future. So basically, let's start off with the basic wrestling side of this, where he basically did the old-fashioned, old-school heel promo where he lied about the match being easy, which is hilarious because at the end of the match he had a fucking oxygen tank because he was so blown up, and I think that was him just playing it up. But basically he lied about that. He makes fun of the guy's grandmother dying and calls her a fat skank, and but basically just and he called out the baby face knowing he's not there. It's just old school heel shit, and I liked it. And then he turned the tide of this, and it made it one of my favorite promos ever because he really just nailed everything that I hate about AEW and that type of wrestling, that indie type of wrestling. He made fun of the fighting champion trope. He basically, before he did that, he goes, I tell you, Will Ospreay to retire his shitty indie kick pads, which I just love that line. But yeah, he made fun of the fighting champion trope, which is great for in my opinion, because I did a video on that, how I think the fighting champion just doesn't even work in wrestling psychologically. It's boring. It's never led to any interesting feuds. It's never led to anything more than like a best of 7 series where they wrestle really well. It's like, that's not fun. That's not interesting. There's no story in that. The fighting champion is a bore fest. I'd rather have a guy who cheated his way to the top and have the title and be a piece of shit with the title, rather than not be there every week, rather than he's there every week boring the fuck out of us. But I digress. But he goes, yeah, workhorses, the workhorses who held that belt, the international champion. I guess that's their intercontinental championship. But the workhorses that held this belt, trying to earn your affection by working hard. And he starts gagging on the mic. Again, good shit. And then he says, working hard is for pores. He calls the crowd unpaid. This is where I get into, like, I fucking love this guy. And this was a ultimate, to me, a ultimate babyface promo. Like, if I was a wrestler, I would cut this promo. This is just, it resonated with me so well, so much. He called the crowd unpatriotic and treasonous. And, hey, listen, I call that crowd, I say AEW is the liberal wrestling. They're the woke liberal wrestling. So, hey, I agree. And then he unveils he throws the international championship in the garbage. Again, good heel shit with this guy. Good old school heel shit. And then unveils the American championship. The American championship. Ladies and gentlemen, MJF, a proud patriot of this country, this fine country, the United States of America, and then ends his promo with God bless America. God bless America. And then the streamers pop out, the music, the patriotic music's playing, a giant flag with his face replacing the stars. A little, a little bit of a desecration. I'd have to, as a proud patriot myself, I have to go at him on that one, but I'll forgive him. And then he also, by the way, calls Long Island, New York, the most magical place on earth. Now, as a right-wing conservative myself, as a right-wing conservative from Long Island who hates indie wrestling and that style, how can I not love MJF? How can I not love this promo? And how can I not be a fan? Personally, I don't know if anybody else liked it this much, but I admitted my bias at the beginning. I fucking loved this promo. I thought it was great. And it was a great going against the grain for that audience. And then he gets interrupted by Will Offspray. Will Hairspray, as Sports Jedi calls him. He gets interrupted by some limey Brit, you know. And then it reminds you of, why we even fucking left them in the first place and started America. Because it's just, here we go. He calls them, what did he go? He goes, while you're breathing out your asshole, and you reach down past your tiny dick. It's like, all right. After we just heard a fucking artist lay down a promo the way a promo should be. Then this fucking raspy British asshole comes out and hits us with a bunch of fucking like one-liners. Like it's supposed to impress me. It impressed that audience. Because they're fucking idiots. But yeah, I had to give it to him. Had to give the promo of the week to MJF. Again, I didn't watch the show. It popped up in my timeline. Actually, no, I'm lying. Somebody told me that I should watch it. And a good friend of mine, actually somebody watches the show named Platinum Ham, told me to watch it. And he was like, I know you don't watch AEW, but watch this promo. And he was so right. He was so right. It was amazing. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure it was Platinum Ham that told me. Maybe I'm crediting him for no reason. All right. But yeah, that would be everything that I had to cover on wrestling here. I did that all pretty quick, huh? Usually I'm here for over an hour. I did skip a lot on Raw, and I didn't have a lot to say about certain things. So let me see what we got in the chat. And Peter Ortiz. Is that why Bobby left? Oh, did Bobby actually leave WWE? Maybe I did hear that and I just can't remember. I forget a lot of shit, guys. I'm not going to lie. It's a gift, actually. The shit that doesn't mean anything to me. Things like Bobby Lashley's career status. I may hear it and then I kind of get the fuck out of here. Get it out. I can't trash my brain with bullshit. I try not to. However, because really it's because my brain's already filled with enough stupid nonsense that doesn't need to be remembered, but I remember for some reason. Like the Attitude Era. Like I could just tell you shit that happened like it was yesterday. But then it's like to do certain technical things on this live streaming, I have to go look it up again. I guess it's over time you learn. Who the fuck is Cedric Alexander? Now you're making me nervous. Did I get the name right? Because I sometimes, again, these fucking idiots. No, I did get that right. Because I remember Cedric Alexander. He's that black dude that was with the black unknown dude that was with Hurt Business. He was in the, this is again where my memory of knowing dumb shit comes. He was in the cruiserweight division, if I remember correctly. And facts, I love Mike Tyson, and Cubans love Scarface. Absolutely. I haven't met a Cuban yet that hated Scarface. Now there are Cubans back in the day when it was coming out that said it was kind of disgracing the heritage and giving Cubans what do you call it, a bad stereotype. Let's be honest, it was going to be there anyway. But Cubans have done a really good job at changing the stereotype. You don't really think of Cubans as, I remember in the like 90s, maybe 80s, if you watch stuff from that time, they would make the jokes, Cubans will cut you, that kind of thing. I'll be honest, I don't know why America didn't well, I think maybe they did, because Ricky Ricardo, great Cuban, great Cuban American. I tell people this too. If you want to watch a movie, a random ass movie, watch the I Love Lucy movie. And I tell dudes to watch this movie because, first, I'm not gonna lie, I liked I Love Lucy growing up. I liked old shows for some reason when I was a kid. But I thought I Love Lucy was hilarious. I still think it holds up. Actually, it's still funny, even that it's slapstick vaudeville shit. It's still funny. Three Stooges are funny sometimes. It's like that doesn't get old. But the I Love Lucy movie is really great because it shows that Ricky Ricardo was the fucking man, and he really ran that whole thing. Like he ran the Desilu empire, and he saved Lucy's fucking career because she was basically borderline a communist, and her grandfather was a communist or something like that. And there's this great scene where Ricky's just going off on her about how much communism fucking sucks, and she's trying to defend it. She just had nothing. And he's like, you're wrong, and your grandfather was wrong. And it's just a real. I'm not doing it justice, but go watch that movie. Ricky Ricardo was the fucking man. Yeah. Great Cuban American. That's why The Rock had so much heat last year. He was offending motherfucker. Exactly. Good point. And he didn't give a fuck. And I think that's bullshit that people will go, well, he's The Rock. I think it's that people are too afraid to get in trouble these days. And I did like that one saying that CM Punk, I heard him say it first, but it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And a lot of these new guys, and I see it even in regular workforce, people are afraid to people are afraid to sort of take chances. People are afraid to be creative. They're afraid to offend people. They're afraid to step on toes. And that's why nobody becomes great anymore. That's my theory. Is that people were great in the past because they didn't let anybody let them be anything less. So it's like people are too comfortable with being victims and accepting that, well, I can't, the little old me isn't going to make a change. It's like, where's your goddamn spirit? Where's your spirit of, you know what? Fuck that. I don't care what people say. And I don't care what even I think. I'm going to do it. And if I do make a change, I make a change. I do something great. So yeah, that's my advice. Get advice on a wrestling podcast? What are you, fucking crazy? But yeah. Step on toes. Don't be afraid to step on toes. Don't be afraid to make people like pissed at you, because most of the time they're probably wrong, and you go with your gut. You're more than likely right, and then stand by your decision. Not saying be hard headed, but stand by your decision. If you realize you're wrong, then admit you're wrong. But most of the time, you're probably just as right as they are, at least. All right, let me stop pontificating. Give you these fucking platitudes. It's a wrestling show, god damn it. All right. Well, it's over. It's over, I guess. It's over. All right. Well, I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Peter Ortiz. It is great advice. It is. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead and if you want, if you feel the need, if you want to help out us or the Misfit Nation, go ahead and buy us a coffee. Did it come up? There it is. Buy me a coffee at Misfit Nation. Again, we don't force you or guilt you into it. If you can help out, not even help out, if you want to show support, because it'd be nice to get paid for this, but it's not like the lights are going off or anything. I would rather you guys though go ahead and get some shirts. Rep the nation if you want to actually help us out monetarily. I'd rather you buy a shirt. You can get yourself a Kayfabe shirt over at shopmisfitnation.com, and rep the cartel. And here's the free help. You can go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and hit the like button. We have 5 people in here, so I come on, I have to have at least 5 likes. At least 5 likes. I don't know where it's at right now. I can't see it, but that helps out a lot. Also, I'll tell you, if you want to help us as far as like getting this show a little more known, if you watch live and maybe just drop a comment on the live stream, or drop a comment on the drop a like and comment on the videos I put out. Maybe you thought of something that strike your noggin there, and you want to jot it down on the comment. The comments actually help us out in the algorithm. It helps get our video shown more. So drop a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. And also, I do like to get in the comments and talk to you guys, because sometimes you guys are some of you give some good takes that make me think and even help formulate some of my takes on this show. I'm not stealing takes, because most people disagree with me. But there's some things that people will make me go, oh, I didn't even think of that. Let me kind of go down that route. I actually have one that I'm going to save, because it's a really good take, and I'm going to give the person the credit, but I'm waiting to see if they want to come on and talk about it. So that's why I won't do it yet, but it's not even a time sensitive thing. So, but yeah, we'll be back, or I'll be back. Maybe Wonder will be back on Friday. Who knows? We'll see. Wonder's been super busy with his business and stuff like that, so he hasn't been able to make it. But I just, I've been doing my reviews here. I've been finding a little stride by myself. So whenever Wonder's ready to get back in the studio, we'll get him back on. We'll see if he's down to do maybe a SummerSlam review or something. So we'll figure it out. So Wonder will definitely be back at some point. Maybe I think he should be there at Misfit Nation, on the Misfit Nation on Friday. So definitely. But that's basically where things are at on our side. And I guess I'll get out of here. Thanks again to Peter Ortiz, and the other person was Anna Gonzalez. I don't think I've seen you before. I don't think I've did I put your stuff up there? Let's see. Yes, my son name is Isaac, going to Ohio this Saturday night, watching WWE SummerSlam. Okay, all right. Well, I'll see. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do a watch along for SummerSlam. I'll try to, let you guys know before the day comes. But if we, maybe we'll just pop up on you. We'll see. All right. I'm out of here, guys. Thanks again. I appreciate you. And I'm out.
This is a Misfit Nation production.
You want to be a friend of the cartel?
Ladies and gentlemen, making their way to the studio, they are the most dangerous podcast in sports entertainment. Crishaun the Don and Wunda from Kayfabe Kartel.
You're staying. You belong to the cartel now.